Do you find it difficult to accept or deal with changes in certain parts of your life? Don't worry, it's something that we all experience. The good news is that we can quickly change from resisting to accepting things, which can stop unnecessary suffering. Today we'll mainly be talking about Stoicism and how it relates to many people find it difficult to accept and adapt to change. We may have our own reasons for resisting change, and it can be challenging to see things from a different perspective. Change can bring about suffering in various ways. There are three parts of philosophy that can help you get better at dealing with change and improving your relationships. The Orion audience first brought up this topic. Some time ago, I asked on Instagram what people want to gain from studying philosophy. Several people said that they find it difficult to cope with change. Our ability to handle change is what determines how resilient we are. The goal of this article is to help you become stronger and more able to handle difficult situations. Stoicism and change. To start talking about change, I want to explain that change is important for survival. If we don't change, we can't do things like grow, learn, make friends, overcome problems, feel emotions, or be motivated. If nothing ever changed, the universe would not be able to exist because change is needed for anything and everything to be formed. Around 2,000 years ago, Marcus Aurelius, who was a Roman emperor and a philosopher named Stoic, wrote that every part of ourselves will eventually become a part of the universe, which will then transform into another part of the universe, and this cycle goes on forever. I believe that we all understand this logically, but on an emotional level, we tend to struggle with change. Many of us put in a great deal of effort and attention to dodge the fact that change is bound to happen. Aurelius asked, "Are people scared of change? Can anything happen without change? What is more pleasant or suitable to the world? Can you have a hot bath if the wood doesn't change for the fire? Can you get nourished if the food doesn't change? Can anything useful be done without change? Don't you see that it's the same for yourself and necessary for the world to change?" As he says, everything needs change. But just knowing this information can only help a little in changing our perspective in a better way, and it won't completely get rid of most of our resistance. I will talk about three important tools that can help us reduce our resistance. Change and suffering. I think there are two main reasons why we suffer. One is because we often worry or feel bad before something changes. This is when we feel scared because something might happen to us or near us that will change our life, what we're used to, or our daily routine. This is usually when something is lost. Losing a job or losing someone you love, like a family member or a close friend, are some examples. When we expect something to change, we may start thinking too much about it. We might doubt our ability to handle the challenges that come with the change. We may also blow small problems out of proportion and make them seem much bigger than they actually are. In his book, Homo Deus, Yuval Noah Harari says that people are often scared of change because they are afraid of things they don't know. The most important thing to remember about history is that everything always changes. This is when someone is feeling bad because something has just happened. Sometimes we have to accept that we have experienced a loss or feel confused and overwhelmed. This can happen when our lives change from being stable and predictable to becoming uncertain and unfamiliar. During this time, we may face tough challenges and struggle to find balance. Resistance to change is understandable. Feeling upset or in pain is something that people can easily relate to. It makes sense because people feel comfortable and safe when things are predictable and they have a routine. Our brain likes to stick with routines and guess what will happen around us. Being aware of everything around us takes a long time and a lot of energy. But having a predictable and routine life helps us be more efficient and reduces stress. When our everyday activities are in danger, it can make us feel uncertain and worried. We might be afraid that our normal routine will not work anymore, and the familiar and predictable world we are used to will change and bring new difficulties, making us adjust to a different way of doing things. This can make you wonder and ask some unpleasant questions. What happens if we can't handle the new situation? What happens if it makes me unhappy? What if I am unable to succeed in a new job? What if new people don't like me? What if my partner leaves me? What will I do? What happens if I lose money? What if? What if? What if? It is normal for people to resist change. But if we keep fighting against life, we won't be able to start embracing it. Only by accepting life can we have a calm and peaceful mind. Understanding and agreeing to something is important and is one of the 3 areas we will concentrate on in the future. If we learn to think of change as a natural and normal part of life and take on the responsibility to deal with it and the difficulties it brings, we can greatly improve our ability to handle it. I will give more information about this later. This has 2 important points for me. Change is something that nature loves. It means that change is a part of existence and we need it. Our world could not exist without it. No matter who we are or where we live, change will always be a part of our lives. Change can be good or bad, but if there is no change, we would have nothing. Most of us would prefer to have a life with both good and bad experiences, rather than having no life at all. Aurelius also says that when we lose something, it's actually just a change happening. Loss can be seen as neither good nor bad. Whether it is good or bad depends on how we view it. The suffering we feel from loss comes from not being able to accept and overcome the changes it brings. Both of these old thinkers are saying the same thing. To reduce our suffering and become stronger, we need to realize that our way of seeing things is what makes us suffer, not the actual things themselves. And secondly, we need to accept the role of developing better ways of thinking. In the next part, we will talk about 3 practical aspects of our mind that can help us lessen suffering in different parts of our lives. However, in this episode, we will specifically discuss the topic of change. Epictetus and the dichotomy of control. In simple words, most people like having control. We enjoy being able to understand and have some control over our surroundings. Controlling things makes us feel at ease. If we can control everything around us, we can get rid of things that are dangerous, difficult, or make us uncomfortable. But in reality, controlling things is mostly just a belief we have even though it's not entirely true. Many times, we think we can control things more than we actually can. We think this because it makes us feel better. But the more we believe we have control, the more it hurts when we realize it's not true and we lose control. In reality, we can only control 2 things, what we think and what we do. That's all. Anything else can be misplaced, stolen, altered without our permission, or difficult to influence. Understanding the difference between 2 things is essential for developing resilience. Change is not any different. Sometimes, things in our life will change and we won't be able to do anything about it. We will face difficult situations that we cannot prevent. In situations like these, we need to understand that there are things we cannot control and focus on the things we can control. We can change the way we see the world and become stronger against its difficulties and problems by using control, expectation, and acceptance. However, fixing this issue isn't something that can be done quickly. It involves us taking ownership and reflecting on how we perceive different aspects of our lives, our thoughts, beliefs, and values. After understanding our perspectives, we can then consider what actions we can take to progress. To finish, here's a quote from Epictetus: "Each part of me will eventually become part of the universe, and then change into another part of the universe, continuing forever." We are involved in a cycle, and cycles naturally involve change. We may not like change because it can disrupt our comfortable and predictable lives, or we can learn to accept it as a normal part of our life and become strong in the face of its challenges. We can only choose one of these paths to walk on, and it is up to us to decide which one.